Let's move our attention to top overall point scorer. Now, this could easily be one of the guys that we picked to win the U.S. side or the European side. I've opted to go in kind of a different direction and try to tell a little bit of a story here. For me, it's Rory McIlroy. If the Europeans win, it is because their stars have shined very brightly. Jon Rahm gets the job done. Rory McIlroy gets the job done. You get the seemingly guaranteed 5 matches out of Rory McIlroy. So that's where I'm going, with longer odds for Rory McIlroy to be the top overall point scorer. And Mark, I'm going to go right back to you because I think you kind of are on a similar page here.
I actually leant towards Jon Rahm, and I know I'd said that I thought Victor Hovland was going to be the best European, but I get, again, the sense that he and Hovland are going to play together. They're going to make a cracking pair. And the way Rahm is going along, he just wants to win so bad. And he's an imposing figure. He's a big, strong, tall guy who's not afraid to look you in the eye, and he's got that death stare about him. And if he draws a rookie or someone in the like a Bernd Wiesberg, or pardon me, one of the American rookies in the first game, like a Scheffler or something, you'll stare a hole in him. So I feel like Rahm is going to be really tough, and he's going to play 5 games.
Okay, that leaves us with, let's go to you, Greg. You are doubling down on Mr. Jordan Spieth, and for top overall point scorer, now you get into double digits, 10-1 for Mr. Spieth.
And I do prefer, depending on what your budget allows, I prefer this over, well, maybe not. Maybe the better value is the top American point scorer. But I like this one too. I think at 10-1, it's a fairly good number. And the story that I'm painting is that the U.S. wins. And so the top scorer on the U.S. is going to be the top scorer in the overall competition. So it's a pretty simple one for me. And I'm doubling down on the American darling. If Justin Thomas is the heartbeat, I think Jordan is our darling.
Well, Kyle, your heartbeat for the American team is also your pick to be the top overall point scorer, the Justin Thomas. In this case, you're getting him at 9-1 to be the king of this whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, again, so many of the same reasons that I laid out earlier. I think the biggest one is just having confidence. And that's part of like picking this event is so different than picking a stroke play, even like a major championship, because at a US Open, it's like, well, most of these guys are going to play 4 rounds, and going into this, you're like, I think this guy will play 3 matches or 5. It's so odd. But I have a lot of confidence that JT will go 5, and that just like in Paris, he'll win a bunch of them.
Let's talk wild cards. That is what most sports books are using to refer to as captain's picks. So if you hear me say wild card, that is what I'm talking about. Gentlemen, I'm the lone wolf here for the U.S. wild card. We'll hang on to that in just one second. Mark, lead the way here. You, Greg, and Kyle have all chosen the same wild card for the U.S. team.
And if Harris English was a captain's pick, I would have picked him. Yeah, but just Daniel Berger is a tremendous player. He's got that grit about him. I'm a little concerned at what is normally a strength of the game, and that's the putting, because he hasn't looked as convincing on the greens, but he's so reliable, and it's going to be cold. The wind blows a little bit there on the banks of the of Lake Michigan and hits the thing head high. So I think it's going to shape up for him to hit that low carving cut shot down there and earn a few points like he did at Liberty National.
Greg, Daniel Berger.
I thought Harris English was a captain's pick.
Yeah,
no, he was automatic, wasn't he?
No.
Yes. Forgive me. There were 6. Yeah, I've got that wrong.
6-1 for Harris English to be the top U.S. wild card. Daniel Berger 5.5-1.
Ooh,
Greg,
no, I'm concerned. Harris is going to be good this week.
Oh, there you go, Greg. How do you feel about Daniel Berger? I assume very well.
See, yeah, very, very well. I mean, I really should. Wild card, my mind just didn't go to Spieth. And so if I want to differentiate a little bit, this is the reason why I'm not going with Jordan Spieth. Although based on the other story that I've told, it's silly not to go with Spieth in this form. But I'm going to differentiate a little bit here and go with Daniel Berger. I think his game is really well-rounded. I really like the potential pairings that I'm seeing, at least out of the quote unquote pods that have been presented to us, or seemingly so. And if those really are the pods, I like a Koepka Berger pairing. I really like a English Berger pairing. I think those two guys are ready to go for being Ryder Cup rookies, and he could be an unsung hero here. So I'm hoping for it. I was adamant about him being picked on this team, and he was. So I got to get a little Daniel Berger action in here.
I think I had Berger also. I think Koepka Berger has the feel of like, oh, you guys won 4 and 3 on Friday morning. Okay, you're going again, right? I think that's one of those. If they end up playing together, that's one of those that you could just keep. If they're hot, you keep, because Berger, I mean, last 3 months he was, I think, 4th out of everybody in this field in terms of strokes gained, and went Rahm, Cantlay, Harris English, and then I think Berger. Like, he's been awesome from tee to green over the last several months. So I'm excited about him, and I think that he's somebody that if he gets hot, you keep riding him. Like, you keep throwing him back out there no matter the format.
And I also think, Kyle, to that point, he is kind of a jack of all trades, in that he would be a great fit in both formats. Whereas Koepka, I already documented my concerns about him in foursome play. I don't have those concerns at all with Daniel Berger. I think he'd be a great alternate shot player, and maybe as valuable in that he's extremely versatile because his game is so well rounded. And I just think he's a little bit better, a little more reliable with the ball striking than Harris English, who also has a similar feel to him, a jack of all trades kind of player. Because of Daniel Berger's strength with the iron play, I think he has an edge to get more matches, and he may play with Harris English in alternate shot and Koepka in foursomes, in 4-ball rather. Maybe he gets a Finau. I think he could play with anybody, and so he could be a real horse for us.
I'd like to see the Finau Berger. I think that would be really interesting.
That's
especially
the man I went with.
Especially if Brooks needs a nap, then you can just throw, get Finau out there, and
it's a nap, and he has to watch Sports Center, is what he told us.
Forgot.
So that's like 2.5 hours in the middle of the day. You got to do. I did go with Tony Finau. I just think he is ultimately pairable, ultimately talented, could be good in a lot of different situations. I'm going to be running out Mr. Finau as my U.S. wild card. So let's turn our attention to European wild card. There's only 3 options here, gentlemen: Sergio Garcia, Ian Poulter, and Shane Lowry. And according to our friends over at Caesars, basically all the same odds. Sergio's plus 170. Poulter and Lowry are both plus 175. So, Mark, take your pick.
Ian Poulter. And I feel like he's going to play some alternate shot with Rory McIlroy. And Poulter, I know everyone's speaking about Garcia. There's something about Ian Poulter in this format. We know this. And I know this is a lot of golf course, but the emphasis around you is playing from the fairway. Because the way it rolls out a little bit, a lot of fairways, you're not hitting into hills. So you can get some scoot along these fairways, even if it's moist. So he can hit a tumbling draw. That's kind of his shot a little bit. So he's not going to be playing from too far away. And he's going to be playing approach shots first, which means he's going to put pressure on folks. And he's just up for this sort of stuff. So Poulter and McIlroy will play foursomes. Of this, I'm convinced. I'm choosing Poulter this week.
Interesting. I will bite on Sergio Garcia. I think he's going to have to play a lot. I think he's going to have to obviously rely on the tee to green play, and we'll see how that goes. Greg, Poulter, Sergio, or Lowry, please.
I think Sergio is probably the smartest play here, but the Ryder Cup and paper don't really get along too well. So in that case, I'm going Ian Poulter here. I got to get a little Ian Poulter action in this. It's not my favorite. This isn't my favorite bet here, but I think you got to touch Poulter at somewhere. And there's just that chance that the magic comes out and the miracle comes out again, even though it doesn't add up on paper. But the way that he rolls it, and some of the partners that he could draw, I could see Ian Poulter being a 3-point guy. If he is, it's bad news for the U.S. But I do think he could be a force again.
If Ian Poulter gets 3 points, the Europeans have won.
That's a problem. I don't think Poulter is super playable on this course. He hasn't been great at a Ryder Cup since 2010, 2012, maybe. He was okay in 18, I think he went 2-2. He was not very good in 2014 at Glen Eagles, and honestly, like he hasn't been great from tee to green this year. He's like outside the top 100 in the world. Like he's not. I would if I'm Europe, I would play a Bernd Wiesberger ahead of Ian Poulter. Like I don't, especially on this course. Now, if you're playing Le Golf National, I think Poulter obviously becomes more playable. But at Whistling Straits, it's going to be very difficult for him to putt his way to 2 or 3 points at a place like that. So I went with Sergio. I think he is very playable, and I think they'll play him a lot. And the way he drove the golf ball this year, and he's so long, he's like kind of sneaky, really, really long off the tee. And you can play him with a bunch of different guys. If he starts, and he started rolling it in the FedEx Cup playoffs, he started putting really well, which is very, on brand for Ryder Cup season. So I think
were his eyes open or closed?
Yeah, who can say? I think Sergio's the play here.
Sergio for me and Kyle, Poulter for Mark and Greg, which means Shane Lowry will certainly be the top European wild card.
Obviously.